For decades, the world's biggest tech companies sold us a dream, a future of seamless innovation, limitless potential, and technology that just worked. But lately, something has changed. The products feel half-baked, the excitement is fading, and more often than not, we're left wondering, why does it all feel worse? From AI hype that falls flat, to products that quietly disappear, to a growing sense that we no longer own what we pay for, something has changed. Have the world's biggest tech companies lost their way? Or is this simply the inevitable result of corporations growing too big to care? In this episode, we're diving deep into why major tech companies keep failing us and what it means for the future of technology itself.
Welcome to the Discovery Clock series.
History has shown that innovation thrives on momentum. One breakthrough leads to another, each invention pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The telephone led to the mobile phone became the smartphone. The internet connected the world, and AI promised to make it smarter. But what happens when that momentum slows? When progress no longer feels inevitable, but optional? Over the last decade, something has shifted. New products arrive with grand promises, but deliver only minor improvements. Product launches now feel predictable, with minor upgrades packaged as breakthroughs. The technology that once inspired us now often feels routine. Take the iPhone, for instance. Since 2017, Apple's biggest changes have been slightly better cameras, a faster chip, and a new way to display notifications. For most people, it looks nearly identical to the models before it. And yet, every year, millions still queue to buy the latest version. Apple's own AI project, Siri GPT, was supposed to mark its big comeback, but insiders now say it won't be ready until 2027. A stunning delay for a company that once led the industry. Google, once a pioneer of web search, rushed out its AI chatbot Bard in 2023, only for it to make basic factual errors in its first demo, wiping $100 billion off Alphabet's stock value overnight, Google's parent company. Microsoft, eager to compete, launched Copilot, an AI assistant that, at the time, often generated nonsense. So what happened? The answer isn't a lack of ideas, it's a shift in priorities. Companies that once took bold risks are now focused on predictable revenue. In 2022, Meta spent $116 billion, not on groundbreaking hardware, but on refining targeted ads and expanding its virtual world. Amazon, Google, and Apple have all redirected billions into subscription models, ensuring steady income rather than pushing the boundaries of technology. Of course, not every idea succeeds. Google Glass flopped. Amazon's Fire Phone was a disaster. Microsoft's Zune never stood a chance against the iPod. But at least they tried. Today, big tech seems more interested in avoiding risk than chasing bold ideas. And that's the real issue. Investors want stability. Risky projects threaten stock prices. Why take a gamble when you can just keep refining the same old product and charge more for it? The truth is, major tech companies have mastered the art of selling a dream. They don't need to deliver results. They just need to keep us believing that the future is right around the corner. The cycle continues. Hype, investment, disappointment, repeat. But why do they keep getting away with it? Because when you control the market, you don't need to innovate, you just need to keep the competition out. There was a time when technology offered real choice. If you wanted a phone, you had options. BlackBerry, Nokia, HTC, Sony Ericsson. If you searched online, you could pick from Yahoo, Ask Jeeves, or AltaVista. If you wanted music, you could buy CDs, download from iTunes, or use early streaming services such as Napster. Tech was moving fast. Competition drove progress. The best ideas won. But today, the biggest companies aren't winning because they're the most innovative. They're winning because they've made it nearly impossible to lose. Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. These companies don't just dominate their industries, they are the industry. And when you control the market, you don't need to innovate. You just need to make sure no one else can. Take Google, for instance. It controls over 90% of the search market worldwide. In Europe, it's even higher, over 96% in some countries. And it's no accident. Over the years, Google has paid billions to be the default search engine on Apple, devices, and Android phones. In 2023 alone, it was reported that Google paid Apple $18 billion to remain the default search option on iPhones. Then there's Apple itself. If you own an iPhone up until 2023, you could only download apps from the App Store, and they took a 30% commission cut of every app sale and subscription the developers made. This led to legal battles, such as Epic Games suing them after Fortnite was removed from the store for trying to bypass its fees. The courts ruled that the fruit company had too much control but didn't force them to change much of anything. Why? Because when you're this big, even legal battles are just the cost of doing business. Amazon plays the same game. If you sell on Amazon's marketplace, you're at their mercy. Over the years, the company has been caught using seller data to create its own competing products, then giving those products better search rankings. A 2020 report showed that Amazon copied and undercut its own sellers in India, despite publicly denying it for years. Microsoft? It practically owns the business world. Windows powers over 70% of global desktops, and Office 365 dominates with over 50% of businesses using it. If you work in an office, you're likely locked into Microsoft's ecosystem, whether you like it or not. And when competition does appear, tech giants don't always innovate to compete. They just buy it. Facebook, now Meta, bought Instagram in 2012 for $1 billion when it became a threat. A few years later, they snapped up WhatsApp for $19 billion. Google bought YouTube, Amazon bought Twitch, and Microsoft recently acquired Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, the biggest gaming acquisition in history. In 2023, Netflix increased prices while also cracking down on password sharing. Spotify raised its subscription cost for the first time in over a decade. So what does this mean for you? Less choice, fewer alternatives, and higher prices. When one company controls a market, they don't have to compete on price or quality. They can simply dictate the terms. Monopolies don't just limit competition. They shape the entire tech landscape, determining what we can and can't do with the products we own. This is why today's technology feels uninspired. It's not about making the best product anymore. It's about control. And increasingly, it's the users who are paying the price. And nowhere is this clearer than in the fight over digital ownership. For years, the younger generations were expected to be the most tech-savvy in history, born into the digital age, constantly connected, always on the cutting edge. But something strange is happening. More and more of them are turning away from this modern technology. It's not just nostalgia, it's frustration. Take Nokia, for instance, once the world's top phone manufacturer, with a market share of over 40% in 2007. In just a few years, Nokia fell from the top, unable to adapt to the rise of smartphones. Now, as the younger generation rediscovers simpler tech, many are returning to those old-school devices, relishing the lack of distractions and the simplicity of a flip phone. And this isn't just a small trend. Last year, sales of retro phones like the Nokia 3310 saw a surprising 400% increase, particularly among younger buyers, according to a 2023 report by Counterpoint Research. It seems that simplicity is gaining favour over complexity. Smartphones that once felt like a portal to an unknown future now feel overwhelming. Social media, once exciting, now feels exhausting. and digital convenience, it's starting to feel more like a trap. Tech companies promised us smarter, more seamless experiences. Instead, we got relentless notifications, endless data tracking, and platforms designed to keep us scrolling, not thinking. Even when users try to take back control, tech companies push back. Privacy settings are buried in menus. Algorithms learn more about us than we know about ourselves. And the more we rely on digital services, the less we seem to own. Sony made headlines when it decided to remove entire film and TV libraries from PlayStation users who had paid for them, citing a licensing issue with Warner Brothers. The backlash was so severe, Sony was forced to reverse its decision, but the damage was done. It was yet another reminder that in the digital world, you don't really own anything. This is why the younger generations are rediscovering older technology. A flip phone doesn't track your every move. A vinyl record can't be deleted from a server. A physical book will never suddenly disappear from your library. The message is clear. When technology stops serving the user looks elsewhere. And if major tech companies don't adapt, they might find themselves on the wrong side of history. But the question is, can big tech even change, or is it too late? Big tech operated with little resistance for quite some time now, expanding its influence, crushing competitors, and reshaping entire industries. But that era of unchecked dominance might be coming to an end. Governments are tightening regulations. In 2023, the European Union fined Google €2.4 billion for antitrust violations related to search results. In the US, the Federal Trade Commission is suing Amazon for allegedly using monopoly tactics to crush competition. And Apple? It's facing legal battles over its App Store policies in multiple countries, with potential fines in the billions. Under pressure, some companies are being forced to change. Apple's iOS 17.4 update in 2024 allowed European users to install apps from third-party stores, something previously unthinkable. But is this real change? Or just companies doing the bare minimum to avoid punishment? As trust declines, alternatives are rising. DuckDuckGo, a privacy-first search engine, saw a 20% increase in users in 2023. Encrypted messaging apps like Signal and Telegram now have over 1.2 billion users combined. And decentralized platforms like Mastodon and Blue Sky are gaining traction as people look for ways to escape big tech's grip. For the first time in decades, major tech companies are no longer seen as unstoppable forces of innovation. Apple, which once set the standard for groundbreaking technology, failed to deliver its AI project on time. Google, the leader in search, is now playing catch-up in the AI race, and Meta, despite billions spent, is still struggling to convince people that the metaverse is the future. The cracks are showing, the failures are piling up, and unless they change, they might not be the ones shaping the future of technology. So, what does the future look like? A big tech revival? Or a world where smaller, more ethical companies take the lead? Technology has always been a double-edged sword. It connects us, empowers us, and makes the impossible feel ordinary. But it also demands something in return: our time, our data, our trust. For years, we gave it willingly. But now, we're beginning to ask ourselves, was the trade really worth it? The promise was that technology would serve us. Instead, it often feels like we're serving it, forced into ecosystems we can't escape, locked into upgrades we don't need, losing control over the things we thought we owned. But what if technology didn't have to be this way? What if we could take back control? Take Fairphone, for example. Unlike traditional smartphones, which are glued shut and designed to be replaced, Fairphone is fully repairable by the user. Need a new battery? A screwdriver is all you need. Crack the screen? You can swap it out in minutes. In fact, every part, from the camera module to the charging port, can be replaced without sending it to the manufacturer. This shift isn't happening in isolation. Proton Mail, a Swiss-based encrypted email service, gained over 100 million users by offering privacy big tech won't. Regulators are already pushing back. The European Union's Digital Markets Act now forces companies like Apple to allow third-party app stores. They have also made USB-C mandatory for iPhones to reduce e-waste. The right to repair movement is also gaining traction, with France introducing repairability scores on electronics. And in 2024, the UK passed laws making it easier for consumers to fix their own devices without going through manufacturers. Meanwhile, some are rejecting modern tech altogether. In Japan, the market for flip phones, known as the Galapagos phones, grew by 6% in 2023, as users sought simpler, distraction-free alternatives. Vinyl record sales have been rising for 16 consecutive years, with over 43 million units sold in 2023, surpassing CDs for the first time since 1987. And even DVD and Blu-ray sales, once considered obsolete, saw a 22% increase in the UK last year, as consumers realised they don't actually own digital content. Of course, big tech isn't backing down. The next era of technology is already being built: AI, cloud computing, augmented reality. But the real question is, will these innovations serve the user, or will they serve the corporations behind them? One thing is certain: the days of blind faith in major tech companies are over. Whether they adapt or fall behind, that decision is no longer theirs to make. It's ours. Thank you for watching, for your support, and see you in the next one.